Hello everyone, Blue Plumia here again. And of course, by everyone, I mean the one person who watched my first video. First of all, there's some housekeeping to get out of the way. Right after I uploaded my last video, I realized I didn't have a call to action, which makes me a bad YouTuber. Like, if you look at other YouTubers, it's like, the only thing they do is calls to action. Every other second is, remember to like, here's a giveaway. But still not doing this is bad for my numbers. And my numbers are already, they're 1, which is bad. That's the lower is worse here. But here's my call to action now. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help fix YouTube's autoplay feature. For those of you joining us for the first time, which statistically is all of you, the goal of this channel is to fix the autoplay feature so that young people stop becoming radicalized by the Nazi propaganda YouTube will inevitably throw at them after they watch enough Let's Plays. Fellow YouTuber, which is a phrase I get to say now, Three Arrows, has actually a really great video on this concept. I'll put a link to that down in the description, and you should watch it because not only does he have a very cool German accent, he also explains it much better than I can, and kind of touches on it very comprehensively. And his video is kind of one of the reasons I wanted to make this channel in the first place. Okay, so today I'm trying out a scripted episode in order to be, let's say, a little more organized, a little more concise, which has already gone off the rails because I'm reading and also just ad-libbing, but that's fine. Also, if I fuck up the audio again, I'll cry for so long that I'll die of dehydration. So we're trying to be correct this time. Let me know if you prefer this style over a more off-the-cuff video, or if you think I should do something entirely different, like create a script and stick to it. I can try that as well. Okay, but that's our housekeeping out of the way, so let's talk politics. I'm back playing Minecraft. I drowned in the last video, so I'm basically at 0 at the start with nothing to my name in this mountain hellscape of a seed. I definitely, after playing for I think approximately like an hour between the 2 videos I made where the seeds were basically identical, large biome mountain seeds, it was really bad. I hated it, and I made a new world and started playing on that, and it didn't have large biomes, but it still had mountains, but smaller mountains that were more bearable. But I'm determined to win, so I'm going to continue playing in this world until I kick the Ender Dragon to death. So after I beat her, then I'll probably start a different world and not have it be this bad. Enjoy watching me struggle through this game while I voiceover talk about current events. If you live in the United States right now, you're probably already pissed about how the government has been shut down for an astounding 17 days, with no end in sight. Trump wants his wall. Democrats are doing the right thing and saying no. Democrats also are not doing the right thing by saying, how about just regular border security? Because, like, are we really that afraid of Mexican children? Yikes. Fun fact, aside from that, currently it's tied for the second longest shutdown in modern U.S. history. And with the rate it's going, maybe we'll get the longest shutdown in modern U.S. history. Since I care about the struggles of others, I'm upset because many government employees are not working and not getting paid, which is especially cruel because these are the people who aren't being paid any notable amount of money, like as a salary by and large. And it sucks worse that like congressmen are still getting paid and they're usually like rich. in general. So, like, parts of the government that probably don't need, I mean, they need to meet so they can give funding to the rest of the people. But, like, a lot of services that have the money to continue paying their employees, like the military, we should take some of their money and give it to all the people who need to work and need to be paid. Because a lot of different places are struggling. The national parks, the airport, which I'll talk a bit more about in a sec, but basically any service that the government does is spiraling. I'm also upset that employees in essential services are being forced to work and still not receive their pay. That's bad, like, objectively. Also, and I'm actually going to talk even more about working and not being paid later in this video. That's kind of the theme of today. Also, there's no guaranteed time frame for them to receive their back pay. Like, at least they're being promised that at one point in the future we'll give you money, but without, like, having a date, like 3 days after the government comes back and we get all our funding back, you'll get your back pay. They're just like, one day, and that doesn't work for me, and I don't technically work for the government. I mean, I don't work for the federal government. There's no technically. I don't know why I said technically. But if you're a conservative, you're upset about the shutdown because the lines at the airport are too long because the TSA agents have had to call in sick because they can't afford to work for no money and need to pick up, like, other jobs in the meantime so they can make rent and afford food. And also, it's the holiday season and people expect gifts. And that's also a thing that cost quite a bit of money, as I learned when I spent way too much money on Christmas and Saturnalia gifts this year. But, you know, you're conservative, you're at the airport, you're rich, and all of this standing in line is giving you the shakes, because what if a non-white child accidentally bumps into you? Who are you going to take them to? There's no one to drag them over to and try and get them arrested for pickpocketing you. So I guess your life is over. For clarity's sake, not only do I believe that rich people deserve to be pickpocketed, I know that's actually, like, legitimately a hot take. I am against any sort of border wall and against the high level of border security we, like, already have. I'm against having detention centers for people trying to immigrate over, for refugees, especially seeing as they're privatized. And I mean, that goes for prisons as well, but I think that's a whole just different discussion. As a country, we need to take responsibility for the role we played in destabilizing the places these people are coming from. Like, the US is responsible for a lot of the unrest in South and Central America because we keep on supporting military dictators. And, yeah, the world's fucked. Speaking of, kind of the world being fucked internationally, we have some stuff going on. So in Hungary, there have been ongoing protests, which has kind of been every statement about Hungary for the last 9 years, since 2010, when Prime Minister Viktor Orban, which is how I think his name is pronounced, that's what I watched some news videos, and that's how they said his name. But they were also Americans, so we could all be wrong. Since Viktor Orban was elected for his second non-consecutive term, I believe he was elected back in 2002 before, but that has no bearing on the conversation right now. There's been multiple protests and quite a bit of unrest as Orban and his Conservative Party continue to consolidate their power and allow for greater corruption within the government, which is bad, because, you know, it's a very selfish way of running a government, and I understand that all people are selfish, but, like, yeah, corruption's bad, and just doing it for money and not caring about, like, the price for the country is suckish. So Orban has been criticized for his vicious stance against immigrants and has been aligned with the other growing right-wing movements in Europe, especially all of the anti-immigration ones. During his term, furthermore, he not only amended the Constitution to ensure that only traditional marriage was considered marriage, which, like, I'm gay, yikes, created a state-run media, basically by taking over the existing television media companies. And that's at the television station is one of the big places where these protests have been happening. But he also cut the number of parliamentary seats in half, which I don't think anyone was happy about. It went from almost 400 to like 199 seats, so that's a lot of loss. The most recent action taken by Orban's government is to allow for 400 hours of overtime. Like, overtime, I think, is already kind of suspect. Like, if you need to work overtime in order to make enough money to live on, then your job isn't paying you enough. But, like, also, like, sometimes you have to work overtime in order, like, if you're an architect and you have to get a design done, for example, then you're gonna have to work some overtime once in a while. But this 400 hours a year of overtime adds up to 1 extra day per week of work. And that sounds awful. Nobody, there's no one in the world who really wants to work 8 days a week at their shitty job, which just happens to be in Hungary, other than the Beatles. But they did that out of love. So maybe they have some other exterior motivations. But fear not. This isn't just my personal anti-Puritan natural dismissal of just working at all speaking. I think inherently I'm someone who likes to nap and just kind of lounge and not do intense amounts of work, which is kind of counterintuitive because I'm a YouTuber now, which involves many hours of writing scripts and recording and editing, but it's fine. If you, the employee, do work those 400 hours, you aren't guaranteed to see your payment immediately. So just like our poor TSA employees and all of our other essential government employees who are working without pay, the Hungarians are protesting because they are upset about this because it's basically slave labor. They have even the Hungarians plus media outlets in other parts of the world have been referring to it as the slave law because it turns you into a slave for your employer. And so, yeah, I think all corporations should be burned to the ground and not given rights because they're not people. So not to sound like an anti-capitalist hippie, even though, like, fuck capitalism. But this is what happens when the government serves corporations rather than people. The citizens get fucked over, they protest, they get mad. Companies get mad because all of their employees aren't working and just pay the government to punish the people more and serve them and fill the pockets of their, I don't know. Do they have stockholders in Hungarian corporations? I assume they would do. But yeah, no change was ever made. And people keep dying on factory floors like their children working in Rockefeller's textile mills back in the 1910s. Unfair labor laws are dangerous, and they exist in places other than just Hungary. Like, lots of places in the world, minimum wage is not enough for people to live on. There's a lot of inequality. There's a lot of unfair hours that we make people work. the disillusion of the power of unions is behind it a lot in the US, and I know there's been lots of protests throughout the years for getting these rights, and it's a push and pull, and we have to keep working. But anyways, that's what I've been thinking about today. That's what I mean. I'm angry on behalf of the Hungarians. Also, like Orban's like George Soros is responsible for these protests, and I'm like, probably not. And also, like, have you been watching just way too much Fox News? Are you a big Dinesh D'Souza fan? Because that's kind of what it sounds like. Because you only blame George Soros if you are an anti-Semite Semite fascist. So, yikes. But also, like, Soros is old now, and he's gonna. I mean, not. I'm not. This is not trying to be like threatening, but like 80-year-olds die, or 90, or however old he is now. So he's gonna pass away, and then the crazy alt-right or just like neo-Nazi far-right extremists aren't going to have anyone to blame for their all the people who are unhappy with them. They'll have to, I mean, hopefully, eventually think maybe it's not like the Principal Skinner meme where it's, is it me that's wrong? No, it's the children. Yeah, so that. So let me know what you think down in the comments, and I will reply to you because I crave validation and discourse. So that's all for today. Have a wonderful afternoon, morning, whatever time you watch this, and see you around for my next video.